Hello, everyone. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. My name is Eric. Thanks for tuning in. If you could hit that like button, hit subscribe. Really helps out the channel. Thanks so much. Well, it's election season, and I'm fond of watching debates because politicians do this thing where they give you a binary choice without the nuance. And the details and the real decision-making is in the nuance. An example of this is Social Security. People want to reform it, and that means they want to kill grandma. And people who want to expand it love grandma. Okay? And there's this whole middle ground of how much does it cost that they don't talk about. And why is that important? Because the federal government will give you what they promised, but it's not purchasing power that they promised you. It's a piece of paper or a digit on a screen. Okay, and yes, it goes up with inflation, Social Security does. But I don't know about you, but inflation from the government advertised 8%, give or take. Has your expenses gone up 8%, or have they gone up more like 20? That's right, okay? So you compound that over time, you're losing a lot of purchasing power. Okay, so let's take a look out on the campaign trail and see what these guys are saying.
The point is, some of you here are on Social Security. Some of your parents are on Social Security. Some of your grandparents are on Social Security. You know why they have Social Security? Because they worked for it. They worked hard jobs for it. They have chapped hands for it. They had long hours and sore backs and bad knees to get that Social Security. And if Ron Johnson does not understand that, if he understands giving tax breaks for private planes more than he understands making sure that seniors who've worked all their lives are able to retire with dignity and respect, he's not the person who's thinking about you and knows you and sees you, and he should not be your senator from Wisconsin.
Like I said, they give you a binary choice. I want to kill grandma because I want to reform Social Security. Okay, cool. So let's look at the numbers. And if you're one of those people that says, "Hey, the federal government's spending all this money on defense, and they want to cut Social Security, why don't they cut defense?" I agree with you. Okay, let's shrink government. Let's shrink it a lot. Okay, federal retirees, they're giving money to retirees. Let's shrink the number of federal employees. Let's do all of it. Love it. Okay. But my point about Social Security, Barack Obama said, you earned it through blood, sweat, and tears and all this kind of stuff. Fine. Why can't I opt out of it? Huh? I cannot not pay Social Security tax. I don't want to. I don't want the benefit. But the benefit's not for me. It's a transfer payment. I'm paying in so other people can get it. And they kick the can down the road. And then everyone in my generation is like, I don't think Social Security is going to be there when I'm older. And they're correct. Okay? It's a direct transfer payment. I'm not paying in for me. I'm paying somebody else's benefit because it's broke. Okay? So when you look at these politicians, one saying I want to cut it, the other one saying they don't, or they want to reform it, yada, yada, the way you should make your decision is based off the numbers. Okay, so let's dig in. All right, so President Biden released his and I'll link this in the description below, but he released his $6 trillion federal budget proposal in May of 21. The U.S. government estimates it'll take in $4.174 trillion in revenue through September 30th, 2022. Okay. First things first. Any problems there? Revenues here, expenditures here. If you saw a business and you wanted to buy their stock and you saw that continuously, you'd go, I don't think this is profitable. I think there's a problem here. But if you look at it in federal government terms, all that means is inflation. You like that? Do you like inflation? No one likes inflation, but they want to have their cake and eat it too. Or as Greg Foss says, they try to suck and blow at the same time, which is impossible. They want to have all these nice things and expand the money supply and not have inflation. You can't have both at the same time. I'm sorry, it's not possible. So you either cut your Social Security benefits or you have inflation. Simple as that. Okay, so what are the revenues of the federal government? They come from income taxes, Social Security, Medicare taxes, corporate taxes, earnings from Federal Reserve holdings, yada, 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 excise tax, tons of taxes, right? But what do we spend it on? That's where, because our revenues have been going up over the years, but our revenues, go up maybe 3% a year on average. And our spending goes up like 6 to 9. Huh? How does that work? It doesn't. It doesn't. And so they print the difference, sell the debt, and you pay the tax via inflation. Do you like that? Do you like inflation? No one does. But they don't. If you listen to any politicians, they're like, it just snuck up on us. I don't know where it's coming from. And I'm like, well, you want to spend $6 trillion and you only brought in 4. Hello? Okay. So 65% of the $6 trillion pays for mandated benefits such as Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Okay. And then we got discretionary spending of $1.688 trillion. Okay, so we spend a lot of money as a country. Okay, but mandatory spending, meaning written into law, is about $4 trillion, right about tax receipts. And as you probably heard in the news, we're about to go through what's called a recession, potential depression. What happens to tax receipts when you have a recession? They go down. For example, we had about $600 billion in capital gains taxes. That's from stocks, investment real estate, yada, yada, yada. It goes to the federal government. Is anyone making money in a recession? Meaning, are their assets going up in price? No. So, is the government going to get that tax? Absolutely not. So taxes go down, expenditures go up. More inflation. Yucky. Okay? So, mandated spending is about $4 trillion. And that's in a good economy. That's in a good economy that we had that $4 trillion in tax receipts. That was like booming, kind of fake, a lot of capital gains taxes coming in. And about all of that goes to mandatory spending of some kind. Is that sustainable? Okay, really, that's what it comes down to. Are we on a sustainable path? Can Social Security sustain itself? The answer is no. And if it can't sustain itself, let's look at reality and stop having politicians tell us somebody wants to kill grandma. It's unsustainable. And it's a transfer payment at this point. I'm not investing for myself. I am transferring my Social Security tax to somebody else. It's not for me. There's no piggy bank anymore. And again, why isn't it optional? If it's for me and it's my benefit, how come I have to pay into it? If it's for me, I would prefer not to. Thank you. And I'll invest that in my own way. And I don't want the benefit from the government. But you don't have that option. Why don't you have that option? Answer that question for yourself. Because the benefit's not for you. It's a transfer payment. Okay. So obviously we have tons of discretionary spending on military, yada, yada, yada. Federal retirees. Let's cut it all out. Great. Let's cut the number of troops. Let's cut federal spending. I agree with all that. But even if you were to cut drastically discretionary spending, we're still overspending just on Social Security. And there's more and more baby boomers retiring and drawing on it as the years progress. So how is it sustainable? The answer is it's not. And so people bury their head in the sand, they whistle past the graveyard, and they pretend, I'm going to get mine. And you will. If you bury your head in the sand, here's what's going to happen. They will continue to promise you Social Security. Your benefits will continue to go down, not in nominal terms, but in real terms, meaning purchasing power. Because in nominal terms, it might go up with inflation. But again, they advertise inflation at 8%. What is your actual inflation rate of your life? How much more are you spending? Probably 20 or more. So that will continue to happen, and you will get less and less of a benefit unless it's reformed. So you get to make the choice. If somebody wants to reform it, they're looking at the math. They're not looking at this emotional plea that somebody wants to kill grandma, because it is just reality. Unfortunately, That's where we're at. Because when Social Security was started, like all central planning, they look at history in a box and they say, well, people are going to live till 65, 70. And turns out modern medicine allows people to live till they're 90, yada, yada, yada. So they're allowed to take Social Security benefits for a lot longer. And Social Security, the math worked out when it was started, and it doesn't work out anymore. Okay, so these central planners come up with this and they say, hey, we're gonna make sure everyone retires with dignity. Thanks, I'll do that myself. Thank you. Thank you. That's my responsibility, not the government's. That's my 2 cents. But if you say it's the government's responsibility, they'll just print it. That's what they're going to do. Stuff gets me fired up, as you can tell. All right, let me know what you think in the comments below. See you guys in the next one. Peace.